Okay, today's lesson we're looking at the ride of Paul Revere. So, April 1775, Boston is ripe for rebellion. The rest of the colonies aren't ready to rebel yet, but the people of Boston are ready to rebel and are in the process of preparing for it. The British know this. They bring in more soldiers and they kind of make themselves a stronghold in the Boston harbor. The British want to put the rebellion down quickly and assertively. So they come up with a plan. The plan is to make a surprise attack. They're going to march their soldiers out of Boston Harbor and up to Lexington, where they will hopefully capture and arrest Patriot leaders Samuel Adams, and John Hancock. And then they are going to go up to Concord and seize the Patriots' weapons storage, are being stored in the village of Concord, which is about 18 miles north of Boston, or inland from Boston. Patriots, luckily for them, have spies everywhere and hear the plan, and they just need to know which direction the British are coming from. So to solve that problem, they have Robert Newman climb on the top of this church, the Old North Church, to the very top here, and he has two lanterns, and if the British come across the Charles River or by sea, he's going to hold up two lanterns. If they come by land around through Boston, he will hold up one so that the Patriots will know which direction they're coming from. The British cross Boston Harbor, so they come by sea. When the signal is given from the Old North Church right here, Paul Revere takes off this way, and William Dawes takes off a little bit farther south down this way, and they're coming around to warn the people of Lexington, the people of Concord, that the British are coming, and to gather up Minutemen along the way, wake them up. This is in the middle of the night. The British leave about midnight on their march. And they'll go from there. Dawes and Revere went separate ways, so they thought it would be less likely that they'd both be arrested because they went different routes. Because the British had guards and patrols out as well throughout the city. There's the Old North Church, so Newman was up at the top here, and from that top vantage point, he could see the entire city of Boston and down into the harbor, see the British coming. There's Paul Revere. He gets a lot of credit for this, but there were other people that helped, a lot of brave people that assisted him, other riders, of course, Newman, Dawes, and a third rider, Samuel Prescott, who will actually be the only one that makes it all the way to Concord. The people who are ready to fight are not soldiers. These Patriot people are not professional soldiers. They're called Minutemen, and they were just farmers, blacksmiths, tavern owners, just everyday people who are just using their personal weapons to fight against the British. And they're supposed to be ready to fight at a moment's notice. That's why they're called the Minutemen. Maybe Revere's ride looked like that. So at about 6 a.m., the British finally arrive in Lexington, where they are faced down by about 70 Minutemen with no battle experience. And you can imagine the fear the Minutemen must have felt as they stared across the village green, or basically the field in front of the village at Lexington, at a couple hundred of the most highly trained redcoat soldiers highly trained soldiers in world history, the most successful armies in world history, as the redcoats stared them down. There was a pause, and at one point the British told the Minutemen to go home, or else they're going to face certain defeat. And the Minutemen start to walk off the battlefield, but then someone fires a shot, and all chaos breaks loose, and we have a short 2, 3, 4, 5-minute battle here. And 8 Minutemen are quickly killed. The rest are scattered, and it's just business as usual for the British Army as they win very quickly and easily at Lexington. However, the word had gotten out, and Samuel Adams and John Hancock had escaped. Frustrated, the British go on towards Concord. Now, Paul Revere never makes it to the Concord. He's arrested, but then later released. William Dawes doesn't make the Concord either, as he sustained an injury. However, third rider Samuel Prescott did make it to Concord. So when the British arrive in Concord in late morning, they don't find any weapons. The weapons had been moved and rehidden. Very frustrated after over 12 hours of marching, the British continued to look for weapons and burned several of the storage buildings to the ground. This was a huge mistake because the British were, a day's walk deep into enemy territory here, and they didn't have any backup or support. So while they're wasting time in Concord, the angry Minutemen are gathering from all the different villages. Hundreds and hundreds of Minutemen are gathering and preparing to fight the British on the way home. This was one of the many mistakes, and the first of many mistakes the British will make that will give the Patriots a chance at victory. On the way home, when the British Army is out of formation and bottlenecked at a bridge, the Minutemen strike. They attack them on the bridge just south of Concord, and the British start to suffer casualties. In the chaos, they begin to run away and run back towards Boston. However, the Minutemen are prepared for them, and the road is kind of sunken, so the Patriots take the high ground and shoot at them from the trees. The Redcoats in their bright red uniforms are easy targets. The Minutemen use an ambush, a guerrilla-style attack, which the Redcoats had not seen before, where they would actually kind of shoot from the woods and run away, and then reshoot again and run away. And the British had no answer for this type of fighting, which they were not used to. And as a result, they suffered over 70 deaths and anywhere from 170 to 200 other casualties and people missing on their horrible trip back to Boston. One thing about the Minutemen is they blended in with regular society. They wore regular clothes, so it's hard for the British to know who was enemy, and who was friend. A challenge that sometimes American forces face overseas today as well. So Lexington was an easy British victory on an open field, right in their wheelhouse, what they like to do. But Concord was a shocking and surprising victory for the Patriots, as they used smart battle tactics, geography, knowledge of the geography of the land, and the element of surprise to capitalize on the British mistake of taking too much time deep into enemy territory for a victory. And then you can see the ambush style. They would shoot and then run away, and shoot and run away. At this point, all-out war between both sides is inevitable. Both sides are in heavy preparation mode, and the colonists themselves have to pick sides. Are they going to be a patriot and risk perhaps being called a traitor or treasonous if they lose? Are they going to be a loyalist? You can't really stay out of it anymore, so people are forced to make decisions and pick sides. So the battles of Lexington and Concord, the Ride of Paul Revere, and others, a huge part of American history. And Concord really is a very surprising victory that the Minutemen, untrained as they were able to gather enough to get a victory over the British early on.